Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. And what I have here for today's double review is a couple of Invicta Pro Divers again. I don't know what it is these days. I do seem to be running across a few Invictas which I can get my hands on, and so I grabbed these because they really, again, are designed to catch the eye. And I mean, look at this blue. It really is gorgeous in its own way. The way it catches the light and changes a bit of the shade in some angles, that sunburst style. And this one, obviously it's very much designed to be a sporty looking chronograph type watch. Yes, it is a Quartz, but I think they've really chosen some good combinations, very interesting combinations of textures and colors here. So what we have here is the Invicta Pro Diver 13731, and I'll take a look at this one first. Now both of these watches again are stainless steel cases and bezels with PVD treatments for the rose gold tone that you can see, versus gold tone on this one. It's more a gold tone, and the different colorings on the bezel. Or the kind of colored treatments that Invicta uses. They both have unidirectional dive bezels. Right, give it a click there. And flame fusion crystal is what they call it. Now that's just a mineral glass that has a certain treatment. Invicta claims that it makes it harder than typical. From my reading around, the experience of flame fusion crystal seems to be variable. Some people do claim that it seems to be harder to scratch than some of the kind of lower end watches, watches that don't claim to have any special crystal, I should say. And others do say that it's no better. It's just the same as any other mineral glass. So I haven't had too bad experience. There's no scratches on the watches, or the other Invictas that I have that I've worn around really have kept the integrity of the surface fairly well. So this particular model, 13731, has an MSRP of $495, and on Amazon you can get it for around $100 at the moment. This is the calibre VD53 Quartz chronograph, is similar or essentially the same as that previous Invicta Speedway 9223 that I had reviewed. This case is quite large. It's a 43mm case. I think the largest, or the widest I should say, case that I've reviewed so far. 14mm height. It's Quartz, so they can make it fairly thin, relatively speaking. 24mm lug width. It's got a screw-in case back. I'll just separate the thing here. You can see right side up there, Invicta Pro Diver, master of the oceans. Wow. Funny claim to make there, because really it's not a true dive watch. I don't consider this. It's got no screw-in on the crown there. So it is only claiming to be 100 meters water resistant, so certainly not the typical dive watch resistance that you would like to see, or is required to be considered a more proper dive watch. The dial, I think, is pretty stylish. I don't know if it's coming through, but it's got this carbon fiber type of look there. Now I doubt it's real carbon fiber. I think it's just a faux texture, but it does add that sports feel to it. It's got that tachymeter that you can see on the outer ring. It's got that nice kind of rose gold surrounded lume filled markers, 12 to 4, 8 and 10 partially taken up, or partially cut off by the features, and then kind of these rectangular markers elsewhere. And it's got a 24-hour, I guess talking about the subdials, it's got a 24-hour subdial that's not part of the chronograph. And then in terms of chronograph, it's got the seconds, the 6 o'clock subdial, and the minute counter, the 9 o'clock subdial. So, you know, same as the Speedway that I previously shown. The operation's pretty simple. You just start it with this button, and you can see the seconds counting there. Okay, stop it and then reset. And it's really only a 60-minute chronograph. You know, there's no hour counter. And again, why did they not make the center seconds the chronograph? You know, especially when you're going to try to implement the tachymeter. Now that tachymeter, as a result of that, is just for show. There is no real functionality, even though it's a pretty nicely printed one. I wish it would have been a functional tachymeter. Now the bezel's pretty nice. You know, it's got that rose gold against black and then black against red. You know, nice and sporty, and that red plays off the you know, the subdial color, the color of the subdial hands. They're quite nice. In this case, it's got a black polyurethane band. You know, the first Invicta that I've had with a band other than stainless steel, and I think it's pretty sharply made. It's not, I think it's not poor. It's fairly nice feeling. Some people have complained this is stiff. I have to say I don't find that too much of a problem. It's got a fairly regular stainless steel buckle in rose gold treatment, and Invicta on the branding on the buckle there. I've worn this. I'm going to put it down for the wrist shot now. I've worn this for about a week. You know, almost every day, almost a whole day, and I found it quite comfortable. You know, I can actually fall asleep with it. It doesn't bother me. I find this particular band quite comfortable. So, you know, there we have the 13731 Pro Diver. Now, what do I like? I think I like the looks again. You know, sportiness, the colors they've chosen. I have to say it does play well together. It's very light because it's quartz, so it's thin, and then it's got this PU black band. So this watch is only 115 grams for its size. I think that's remarkable, you know, and not being titanium as well. You know, of course, it's helped by the fact that it's got a PU band, but you know, it's pleasantly light on the wrist, despite being 48 millimeters wide. What I don't like, again, the poor chronograph execution. Just no excuse not to make the center seconds hand the chronograph hand, and really, you know, I think an hour counter would be much more useful than the 24-hour counter. The date window is small, you know, that's the first at the moment. Now, if it goes up to double digits, it starts getting a bit hard to read properly. You really have to squint at it. And then the last thing I kind of, no, actually, not much else not to like. I think the last thing I would say is that, again, so-called Pro Diver, master of the oceans, and no screw down crown. You know, I don't know what the deal with that is. Okay, now moving on to this 19804 Grand Diver. Now this is an MSRP of $895. Amazon around 120 you can get it for. It's again the Seiko NH35 automatic movement that I've featured before in various Invictas I've reviewed, including the first one, the 9094 Pro Diver, 47 millimeter case, and I was quite amused at the size of this. I mean, look at that height. It's 18 millimeters tall, the thickest watch I have ever had on this channel. 21 to 20, you know, 21, between 21 and 22 millimeter lug width. It's more towards 22. And just look at that. Look at those looms and the hour markers and the I guess the depth and thickness of the dial there. It's just, it really just catches the eye. I really looked at this and it brought a smile to my face, partly in amusement, partly in I guess joy that they've made a watch like this. And now this does have a screw-in crown, so it's proper diver, 300 meter rated water resistance. It's got that nice sunburst blue that does change tone depending the angle of the light, and there's huge thick markers. You know, steel blue and gold tone, you know, good sounding bezel there. This is more solid than the other watch, the 13731. This is one of the more solid feeling bezels, I must say, on an Invicta that I've felt so far. The band is, just pull that apart, is you know, steel and gold tone, typical you know, semi-solid clasp there with solid end links, as with other Grand Divers that I've done. Okay, so yeah, and I'll just show you the case back there with the display. Exactly the same looking type of decoration if you've seen in some of the other Invictas that I've done. Okay, what do I like about this? I think partly is the looks. It's just got that very chunky, muscular, solid type of look to it. You know, huge Invicta, you know, on the side, black Grand Diver on the other side. I'll put it on for the wrist shot now. And, you know, it really just stands out above the wrist and almost shouts, look at this watch. What's so not so good, I think the looks, again, in different contexts can play against it. It's a little bit over the top in terms of just how chunky and thick it is. And lastly, the size, the weight that comes from the size of this watch. It is very heavy. It is 215 grams. It really makes it felt, makes its presence felt on your wrists, and it is the heaviest watch I have featured on this channel. Another last thing I'll mention is that branding on the side there. I think it doesn't do it any favors. It's the font is just too basic, and it is too loud. I mean, this one is also loud, but at least it keeps that Invicta font, and I don't mind that one so much. This one, I wish they either kept it off or just did it a bit nicer. So there we have it. I hope that's been a good look at two, you know, pro divers of different characteristic and features. Again, give us a like and subscribe if you enjoy the videos, and as always, I will see you guys next time.